Hi, Zoe, please start your class.
Okay. Great. I wasn't sure if everyone is here or not, but all right. So this is what we are going to be painting today. So if you want to take a photo of it or anything like that, um, this is the painting that we're going to be making. And also to know these are the colors. These are all the colors that we are going to be using today. Um, yeah, so if you'd like to take a photo of the painting, now is the time before we get started. Um, yeah. So today I'm using a 9-inch by 9-inch piece of paper, and yeah, these are the colors again. And I'm using three different brushes. I'm using the flat brush that I used last time, a round brush that I also used last time, and a thinner detail brush as well is needed today, as well as paint and clean water and paper towel. The other thing, if you want, you can tape down your paper like I have done. Um, yeah. So if you want to tape down paper, or if you want me to put this back, I'll wait for a minute or two, and then we will get started. All right, let's get moving on this. Um, so we are going to be starting by painting off the pots that the plants are in. And I'm going to be using my flat brush for most of this. Um, oh, for the people who just joined, this is what we are painting today, if you'd like a photo of it. Um, yeah, all right. So, we're going to be starting with this like reddish brown color here for the start of our pots for our plants. Um, and we're going to be starting off by painting in the larger pot. So we're going to start by taking the dark paint on one side and going like this. And this is going to be the rim of our pot here, and taking a line down from this side, uh, down for the side of the pot. Um, Most of this we're not going to be outlining exactly as with watercolor, you want to leave a lot of white spaces when painting objects in light. So we are going to start by painting in the dark side of the painting, or the pot, sorry. So we're going to start by adding quite a bit of our reddish brown color on this far side and dragging, instead of having a lot of color on your brush, just dragging over the color that you already have. This might include rinsing off your brush once or twice and like lightening the color as you go over to the left of the pot. And then we are going to take the like flat side of the brush and draw in just a little line for the other side of the pot. So this is our first step, kind of, is this. And we will go over it again when we do the second pot as well. Yeah. So this is our first color. And to help incorporate light into the pot, we are going to take this yellow at the top here, just like the smallest little bit of it, and just adding it was too much, and just adding it into the side where it's lightest on the left here. And then adding it a little bit on the top rim here as well. All right. So this is our start of our pot here. And you can just keep adding like lighter areas to the left side of the pot. It's kind of like making it look like the light is coming from the left side here. Um, yeah. Oh. I'm going to pause for a minute to let people catch up just a bit. All right. Um, we'll just wait for another minute as I see some people are still setting up. And then we will go in with the shadows on the pots, which is what we are using this dark brown here for. All right, we're going to go in. So just taking a lot of, well, not like a lot of water, but quite a bit of water and a little bit of color on your brush for the shadows here, and just going in along the edge, the right edge of your pot here, and dragging it slightly along the bottom and like feathering it out a little bit towards the middle. And once again, taking no color on your brush and just water and uh, blending them out just a little bit. This is also where you can add more of your mid-tone into the pot, just to make it a little bit more terracotta colored. And then taking the dark brown again for the rim of the pot and just doing the same thing, starting off on the far right and lightening it as you go over. This is where we're going to pause for a minute just to let people catch up a bit. And yeah, um, so you want to keep your right side pretty dark compared to your left side to show the contrast between like the dark side and the light side of the pot, which gives it the form of like uh cone-shaped like pot, right? All right, so we're going to add in the kind of like finalish details of the pot now. Taking more of your dark shadow color and adding it underneath the rim of your pots here, just to show like a difference between um the rim of the pot and the bottom of the pot. And you can again like um feather it out kind of. We don't want it to be too harsh of a line or anything. So just adding in just a little bit more darkness to it. So this is the first of our pots. Yeah. My mother is like a really big plant person, so we have a lot of these in our house. We have probably way too many plants. But yeah. All right. We'll just wait for another minute before we start the next pot, but it's pretty similar to the first one, just a little bit smaller. All right. We are going to get started on the second pot here, which is very similar to the first one, like I said. So just taking more of this like red-brown color on your brush and putting it beside the other one here. And we're starting off very similar to the last pot we did in adding in the sideline and the bottom of the pot, as well as the rim. And then once again, going through and feathering out the red brown with only water on your brush and lightening up that color as you go towards the left again. This one is much darker than the one next to it, but it's all right. Most pots are all different. So another technique you can do is if you have too much color on your page, you can use a very dry brush and holding it into the watercolor to soak up lots of that water and color and wiping it off on your paper towel. So you can lighten that way instead of spreading out the color if you have too much of it. And then you preserve lots of the white of your paper, which is a very common technique in watercolor to have the lightest whites of your color or your object be completely white. The nice thing about watercolor is you can always lighten it after the fact, right? Um, so whether that's just adding more water to it or using the technique with the brush or even putting paper towel directly on your paper, if it needs to be lighter, you can lighten it, which is always nice to be able to kind of erase some of the things that you do sometimes. All right, now we're going to add in the yellow. Again, just like the smallest amount on your brush. Like you can see, like you can't even see the yellow on mine because it's just the smallest amount because you don't want a whole lot of it. Just enough to lighten up the color and adding a little bit of a glow as if it's in the sun. See, that was too much yellow. So just blending it out like that, and it's all fixed. My camera isn't the best, but you can see the yellow more in person. All right, like before, we are going to do the shadows next, using the darkest brown and quite a bit of water and just adding it in on the far right side of the pot. We will pause when both of the pots are done, just to catch up a little bit for people. Um, and yeah, before we start painting the plants, we'll take a bit of a break. Well, break. Yeah. So by adding in the light sides only on one side and the dark sides only on the other, you're creating like a form. Excuse me. You are creating a form for your pot, meaning you are able to like add in shape by just adding in some different colors on each side of it. So you are able to see like the light side of the pot versus the dark side of the pot, which is pretty cool that you can do this with watercolor and it doesn't take like a whole lot of effort. All right, so those are our pots. We will be putting shadows in just a minute, but we're going to let these dry a little bit and uh, let some people catch up. So, something I would like you all to think about is if you had specific things that you'd like to do in this class, things you'd like to watercolor, or different materials that you'd like to try out. Um, if you have any suggestions, I will, I can give you guys my email so you can email me suggestions or anything, or tell me at the end of class. Um, because I want this class to be fun for you. And if there's things that you want to learn or things like that, I would love to hear your suggestions. All right, we'll just wait another minute before starting the shadows here. All right. Um, let's start putting in some shadows. So now I'm going to be taking this gray that I have at the top here and just taking a small amount of it and going straight out in a line from the bottom of the pot here, like this, and going around the bottom edge of the pot slightly and just dragging it out like that and filling it in.
Which color did you use?
This is the gray here.
Gray.
It is technically called Payne's gray. Yeah. So just adding it in and dragging it out from the bottom there. And if you want, you can lighten it towards the edge here so it looks like it's like fading, or you can add more paint onto your brush and make it more of a definitive shadow like this. Now the shadow for the bigger pot is a little bit more complicated because we have this small pot in the way, but it's not like too difficult. We just have to think of it going behind this smaller pot instead of just going straight out. So once again, I'm taking the gray color on my brush and just dragging it out from the side of it, stopping because the pot is there, and just adding a little bit more on this side because it is quite a big pot. And then going around the base of it and dragging out this color here. And then filling the shape in. If your shadow looks a little bit wonky, there are no worries. Lots of shadows look wonky. It just depends on where your light comes from. So because we don't really have a definitive light source other than the left side, your shadows can kind of go wherever. All right, we'll give it another minute as the plants are a little bit complicated. So we'll just wait for everyone to be at least mostly to the same spot. Okay. So we're first going to be starting off with the cactus in the smaller pots. This type of cactus. So this is what we'll be painting next, the cactus on the right. And for it, I'm going to be using my round brush. And for the spikes, I'm going to be using the detail brush. That is why we have it. So the main color that I use for the cactus is this more yellowish green tone here. And I use that for the whole of the cactus body. And then for the spikes, I'm going to be using this dark brown here. Yeah, and yeah, it's not too complicated or anything. But it is going to be going in this smaller pot here. So we will start that in just a moment here. So you want to start with not too much water on your brush. Not enough that it's like dripping wet, but not too little that it's like completely dry. So you're going to be using this yellow green here, and we're going to be starting off by taking your brush and drawing in the kind of outline of the cactus here. So this can be kind of any shape you want. Well, cactus-y shapes, I guess, but it can be a tall cactus or a short cactus or a really thin cactus. But you want to add quite a lot of pigment to these lines that we're doing now. So starting off with the outline like this, and then going in and adding a couple of lines going like this. So you're gonna have these kind of like ridges on the cactus's body where the spikes come from. So once again, you just want to make sure that these lines are nice and pigmented. Yeah. So this is the first step for this cactus. So next, you want to take the same amount of water on your brush without any pigment on it. And you're going to take the pigment from those lines we just made and kind of feather them out, similar to how we did the main red on the pots, where you're just kind of lightening it as you go to the side. And for the ones on the left side, instead of dragging to the left, you're going to drag to the right, like this. And the middle one kind of stays that same dark green without any of the feathering. If you need to darken up the lines, just add some more pigment and it'll spread out with the water. The other thing we're going to add is a little bit of more green towards the base of the cactus, like this. Just adding in a little bit of like a darker base. Now, because we want the spikes to be crisp, we will wait for this to dry and start the other plant before doing the spikes. So the spikes can stay nice and crisp without blending into the greens of the cactus. Okay, so we're going to start on the base of the other plant, and for this plant, we are going to be using this dark green here, and this will take a couple of steps. So if I'm going too fast, let me know. But we're going to start by adding in the base shape of the cactus, or not the cactus, the succulent or plant. And that is actually going to be a very flat oval here. And just filling that all the way in. So this isn't really like what the plant looks like, but we're going to have to start with it to make sure that our plant isn't too flat. Yeah, so filling in this whole like ovalish flat kind of ball to start off with for this plant. And then the trick to make this look like the plant is to add little like leaves to the outside of it. So you can see the points like this. And yeah, they do get a little bit smaller as you get to the top. And this way, because we've painted in that ball, we don't need to worry about the middle of this at the moment. And just the edges. We are going to be adding in a little bit more detail than this. We just gotta wait for the base coat of it to dry. So going in again on this side, starting with like pretty flat-ish triangles here and going slightly upwards on each one. And then smaller triangles in the middle. So these are the two bases of our plants. And I will just wait for a moment for you all to catch up a little bit. And then we will go back in on the cactus. Okay. Oh, whoops. So now we are going to be using our detail brush here. This is a round number 2, which is very small. And the reason for this, that we want to use this, is that you can see, if I get it to focus, maybe, maybe not, it has a very fine tip to it. And we want that for the spikes on our cactus. So these, you don't want a whole lot of water on your brush for it, and taking mostly pigment to keep them nice and dark, and go very like careful and slow with the process of adding in the lines. So starting at the top, oops, do not put your hand on the other painting. And just adding in little spikes. They will get a little bit longer as you get to the bottom of the cactus. But keeping them pretty small. I mean, you could have really long spikes for your cactus. I had a cactus like that once. But I think my favorite cactus that I've had was the ones, it was one of the ones that bloomed little flowers on it once a year. And it would get like, it would grow in like a circle around the cactus, and it would be like, it looked like a little flower crown for my cactus. So again, just being nice and careful with your strokes and putting it just like the outside, right on the edge of like these ridges that we put in. And the middle, because it's right in the middle, so it's kind of facing us head on. Instead of doing lines, if you do dots, then it'll make it look like the spikes are facing you. And yeah. So because they're in the middle, they're kind of facing the camera like how I have my brush pointed. So if they're in the middle, they look kind of like this, but if they're on the side, you can see the point of it. So for the sides of, like, for these 4, you're going to be able to see the ridges and the cacti spikes, but for the middle, you won't be able to see them as much. So yeah, adding spikes just along the edge of your lines, like that. This is also the time on this cactus where making sure you're staying clear of the spikes that we just put in. You can take more of the original yellow-green and just add in just a little bit in between those to show a little bit of depth. But it's a little bit finicky as you have to go kind of around the spikes that we just put in. But Yeah, so just adding just a little bit more texture to it. So in a minute, we will start adding some more detail to the succulent on the left. Okay, this will take a little bit longer than the cactus to do, so I'm going to start and go over it rather slowly. So you're going to be taking the same green, but having quite a lot of pigment on your brush. So you can see on this piece of paper, I have a lot of color on my brush. And this will be to help outline the spikes, or well, like the leaves of this plant. So adding them in like the same sort of triangles. And yeah, so you're going to start by doing the outline of them and then adding in some darkness to the bottom and like the middle-ish area of the leaves. Well, kind of leaves. I don't know what you call the leaves of a succulent, so. And then you kind of keep adding rows that go in between the previous layers, like this. So they kind of um, stack, like offset. Yeah, and just making sure to start by outlining them and then adding the darker tone in the middle. And then going up in a layer and doing the same thing. Try to keep even amounts of pigment on your brush. So they look, excuse me. So they look very similar in color, and that'll keep your plant looking even. And as you get more to like the top and the middle, the leaves will get a little bit smaller because that is where the new growth comes from on a plant like this. And see how I'm incorporating the spikes that we put on the side into the rows. Just adding in, like, making sure to incorporate all the parts of this. And again, adding darkness to the bottom and the middle of the leaves. And there you kind of have it. Yeah. And that is our painting. I'm done a little bit early today. Let's see if I can maybe get a little bit closer here on these plants, just so you can see a little bit better. Oh, that's very crooked. So, these little terracotta pots are great to paint because you can put like any sort of plant in them. While I was experimenting the other day, I um put a couple of different plants. Well, I painted a couple of different plants, and they all kind of follow the same principle of doing the outline shape and then adding detail to them. So you can see there's one that's like a leafier plant or plants like this that you can just put in the same pots that we painted today. Yeah. All right. If you are also finished with your paintings, I'd love to see them. If you wanted to turn your camera on and show me, or again, if you had suggestions for like what materials you'd like to try or things you'd like to paint. We finished a little bit earlier than I was expecting, so oh, that looks great. Oh, I like that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Mhm. Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Teacher, hello. Hi.
Hi.
Can you show you just show a few more plant picture. Can you show it to me again? So I
The
can
original picture?
yeah, the other picture that you have some other plant.
Oh, yeah. If you'd like, we still have time and I can go over how to paint more of a leafier plant if you'd like.
Right.
So these are
Oh,
my
yeah.
hold on a sec. So these are my like
Yeah,
test
yeah.
plants here.
So it's good that you can put any kind of plants on inside, right?
Oh yeah,
I like the one
absolutely.
that the big leaf one. It's
These
like
ones?
yeah.
I have some spare paper if you'd like me to go over it.
Okay, sure.
We'll just wait a few minutes,
Okay.
just in case. But yeah, I can absolutely go over how to paint one with bigger leaves like that. No worries. I'll just fix my camera a little bit here.
Teacher. Hi. Hi, teacher.
Mhm.
Could you mind you write down the oil paint what's brand name and then which by which shop by and then anything. The paper.
The paper that I use?
Yeah, the paper. What is what is name? What? Yeah,
So this
the
is the
paper
paper that I
not-
use.
Yeah, thank you. And then
Um,
the ink.
I got this at
Buy
Michael's.
from which shop? This paper.
This is at Michael's. I believe you can get it at like
Which
on
shop?
Amazon as well.
Amazon.
It might be. Let me check. I know for
Can
sure
you
it's.
write down the track?
I will
the
find the
name?
link for you.
Yeah, can I can buy as same you the anything, and then oil what brand name, and buy from where, and then brush buy round brush buy what size number. Can you write down?
Yeah, I can write down the brushes that I use if you like.
Yeah.
Um,
I need which brush anything the anything thing for me. I can buy seems seems you anything.
okay. I believe there was supposed to be a list that went out a little while ago of
Yeah. Which brand name, and then buy where I can easily.
there in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
it's there. So in
you
the chat
can
there's
write
some
where.
there's paper in the chat as well as paint
Thank
palette
you.
and some
Yeah.
brushes.
Michael, I see the water.
Yeah, if you would like,
Yeah.
I can try to make one for Amazon
Yeah,
this
a
week.
brush. Thank you. 升全部都係Michael buy in Michael. Thank you.
Hmm.
You can get everything from Michael.
Yeah, everything you can.
Anything
If you would
want.
like, I can make an Amazon list this week, if that is easier for you. Whatever you need, I'm here to help. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah, no worries. All right. I'm going to go over the more leafy style of plants.
Yeah.
If you give me a second. All right. Let's do that. So you can use any green for this, and just start by adding in kind of like really flat heart shapes like this. So you're adding in like really round leaves, so it looks like this. And you can add in some flatter leaves like that, or like smaller leaves. And then it's the same kind of process as the cactus of taking your brush with only water on it and spreading out the green that you've added to it. So you can do this with any colors or any sort of leaves. Yeah, and then once you have these leaves all like filled in, I just take my brush, and you have to do this pretty quickly because you want the line to be thin, but just going down and going like that. And you can go like through a leaf by not painting on it or things like that. You can add leaves that go further out by adding a stem. and then putting in a leaf like that. But it's really the same process of just outlining your outer lines and then taking water and like blending them into the middle. And you can add in details like those where you put more color on the side and drag lines towards the middle to add in some more like texture to the leaf here, like this. You can also do that from the middle line. Right, so like that.
Too nice.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anyone would like me to go over?
Teacher, when you draw pictures, watercolor, you just
Mhm.
go straight into it. You never use a pencil and nail or anything. You don't need to, right?
You don't need to for things like this, but if I was doing a bigger watercolor piece,
More
I would add
complicated one.
pencil.
Then you draw the scratch first before you start, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I do that, and next week we will be doing a little bit of pencil work for our next lesson, which I can show you what it is as I have my test. I'm going to make a bigger one for next week, but I have my test for it done so I can show you my plan for next week. And this is what we are going to be painting next week.
What is this?
This is a lighthouse. So this is next week's.
Lighthouse. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used a little bit of pencil for this, and I will be going over how to do that and then watercoloring on top of your pencil.
In front of we have the ocean.
Yeah. So it's just like it's a lighthouse on a little bit of a cliff with the ocean there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so this is what we are going to be doing next week.
Yeah, the last week I was in Jean, Saint Jean's.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah, I saw this one like
Oh.
that. It sounds
Nice.
nice.
But like, do you guys have any mediums that you'd like me to go over? Do you want to continue with watercolor? I heard that you guys have been taking classes for a while, so if you have like other materials that you've already used, that you would like to paint more of, or if you want, we can do just pencils for a couple of weeks, things like that.
As you like. What about
Pardon?
is die nature or more
Can you speak up a little bit?
Naturmort or some lifestyle, style life or still life.
Oh, still life sketches. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
We can try that. It's a little bit more of an in-person thing. But if you'd
Mhm.
like, I can try to set up a still life class or two.
Mhm.
We can definitely try to do that, yes.
Some fruits
Some fruits, okay.
and
I do have a lesson planned for watercoloring some fruits if you'd be interested in
and
that.
tools and some like pan and as you like. So
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'll see what I can come up with for that.
Is watercolor easier than acrylic? Acrylic?
It kind of depends on what you're painting. For
Yeah.
me, I think watercolor is easily or is easier as it's a little bit more forgiving.
Uh-huh.
Oh, by the way, this is my email here in the chat.
Oh,
If you would like to send me if you'd like to send me anything like any sort of ideas or anything like that, I am here to make the class great for you guys. We can do acrylic. I do have the stuff for acrylic if you guys would like to do that. I think acrylic is really fun as well. That's what I like started on. Like that was my first medium that I did besides like pencil crayons. We can do pencil crayons as well. Pencil crayons are pretty fun.
Seven. Mail.com. Okay. Let me see. What did you said? Water crayon. You said this kind?
Yeah, those are pencil crayons.
Yeah, pencil crayon. Yeah, I got this pen too. Mhm.
Let's see the box again.
I got all kinds of color. I got acrylic, watercolor, and crayons, and water crayon, and pencil color.
Yeah. So we can do some pencil crayons.
Mhm.
Those are always fun.
Yeah, you draw it and then you just use water and then it will come out, right? So
Oh, watercolor pencil crayons. Those are fun too.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, we have one. We have one.
that one is easy to clean up. You just need a bottle of water, that's all.
Yeah.
But for those you have the water clean it up, and acrylic is the one that's too much work.
It's very messy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very messy. Watercolor is good. I like watercolor too.
If you'd also like, my main medium that I do is inking. So if you want to do traditional inking,
Chinese.
pardon?
Chinese.
I can try. I'd have to do a little bit of research, but I have done that before. Like with a brush, I've done it as well. Yeah, but my main thing is inking. Let's see if I have a piece here that I can show you. Mm. I don't know if I do, unfortunately. I give away most of my art, so I don't have a whole lot of it. But yeah, any sort of mediums at all. Just let me know.
Okay.
Or if there's things you want to learn how to paint.
There's one thing I want to ask is whenever I draw and I put the tape in it, right?
mhm.
But then when I finish it, when I take it off, I'm always tearing off.
Um,
So it's no good, right? And on the side, and it's always kind of tearing
yeah,
off.
so I often wait like for at
Wait till it's
least,
dry.
yeah, wait till it's completely
Yeah, but
dry.
it still stick. Maybe the type the tape that I have is no good.
Uh,
I don't know.
possibly.
Huh?
Sometimes it's also the way you take the tape off.
Uh-huh.
So, I can show you on this one because the tape is like this.
Uh-huh.
I pull from this side.
Uh-huh.
So I pull from the inside instead of pulling from the outside like this.
Oh,
Because
okay.
this often catches the edge of the paper and pulls it off.
I see.
But if you pull it off like this,
Mhm.
then you can see that the tape stays clean and the paper isn't ripping.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Every
Yeah.
time and I pull it out and then it would, and then some of it that I like, and I say, oh.
Mhm. Yeah. That's happened to me before too. I sometimes rip my paper.
Mhm. How long is the class? 1 hour or 1.5?
1.5 hours.
I see. Mhm.
My lesson was a little bit short today.
Mhm.
Next week should take a little bit longer as it's a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
But I believe in all of you. It's gonna be great. It's not super difficult. The lighthouse painting that I showed you, it just takes a little bit of time. But yeah. Oh, I don't know if we're going to do this for class, but a suggestion, if you do like acrylic painting, you can get acrylic markers. So these are acrylic markers and they're very opaque like watercolor, but they're in pen form. So these are from Amazon. I don't know if we'll do this for a class, but if you wanted like this, it paints very similar to a marker, but it's acrylic, so it's nice and opaque. It goes over things,
Oh.
and that's a little bit easier to do.
So it's like a pen, right?
Yeah, it's like a pen,
Okay.
but
Then
it's
in that
got,
case, it's not that massive. I have this thing, and it's
yeah.
like crazy. I have this one, and then I have to squeeze it out, and then most of the time, and then I'm wasting a lot of ink, right? Because you don't know how much you squeeze it out to use it.
Yeah, but if you like the look of acrylic paint,
Uh-huh.
those are pretty fun. Here, just a sec. This is something I did with the markers, just a little test of like a tree, if
Yeah.
it'll focus on the paper. Wow, it's really not focusing.
Nice. Yes, I saw it.
Yeah, so if you like the look of acrylic and you don't want it to be too messy, acrylic markers are always a great choice.
Yeah.
They're lots of fun to play around with. So,
Okay.
Hi, sweet teacher.
Mhm.
If we future to use the marker,
Mhm.
please before you write down to pile where and the pen name.
Pardon?
If
你想講
I'm
乜？
sorry, my English is not good.
No worries.
你想講你
哎呀，
想講乜啊？我同你
你好犀利
講啊！
啦，Angela，唔該晒你啊！
係你想講乜啊？
如果我哋咧要 即係跟住嚟要學嗰啲嘢，要用嗰啲用具咧，
啊
可唔可以嗌阿蘇怡咧？
即係寫出嚟。
都寫低俾我哋，等我哋可以買咯。
哦
變咗我
，OK，
哋可以跟翻佢啲嘢做咯，咪變咗唔會
OK，she just mentioned exactly the same thing that before. If whatever you use, then you let us know ahead of time and where to buy it and that type of thing. So she will
Yeah.
prepare for it, right?
So
And
any
then,
sort of
or whatever
material.
you teach for that day, and if it's any special equipment or whatever, then you let us know, and then we will buy it, or even let May know, and then May will inform us what to get,
係
right?
咯，變咗我哋
Yeah.
有時間去買啊嘛。
Yeah. So she needs some time ahead of time. So then before the lesson, then we will have the equipment to use, right?
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
before we switch mediums,
Yeah.
I will give you
Yeah.
if you want I'll give you 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah, ahead of
before
times,
we
yeah.
switch.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
you know, actually it's good if we're doing the watercolor, then we will be continue with watercolor for a period of time. At least we got the idea of it before we change to something else, right? So it's good
Yeah.
to learn one thing at a time instead of it would be then in that case it would be too complicated for us.
Yeah, we will continue with watercolor for a little while.
Before we change to another things that is good.
And yeah, I will tell you what to buy or what you need to buy.
Yeah.
Beforehand. I will try to keep it to materials that you've already used in this class. If
Yeah.
you have a list of like things you've done, any sort of materials, and I will stick to the things that you have mostly. And I will let you know a couple weeks before we change.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But
Angela，可以問下，可唔可以問下佢咧？係咪一張細張紙嗰隻試顏色嘅？嗰張係乜嘢嚟？係咪喺嗰個畫紙嗰度 cut 佢出嚟㗎？
yeah. I think she just use she what she want to ask is the small paper that you tapping on like this thing.
This
And
it's
yeah,
just
you
paper
just dry
towel.
your brush, right? 係咪？即係you just use it to
唔
dry
係
your
佢
brush.
試咧，佢咪我會見到有張紙仔咪試顏色嘅喺度。
Oh yeah, that's the testing paper. 即係試係啦，試顏色
咪就係佢
咩紙都得㗎啦。
畫紙度 cut 佢出嚟嘅就係佢。
Even you use this kind, take one piece out and then you can use it to testing your water, your color, right? So any kind of paper you can testing your color.
So
係咪喺我哋嗰張畫紙嗰度 cut 佢出嚟嘅咋？我想知。
Yeah.
哦，即係仲 cut 短啲。我想知佢嗰個畫紙咧係即係佢而家係嗰個俾咗個資料我哋咧，係咪已經有 size 喺度㗎啦？嗰個water paper。
Now, actually, I want to show you.
係啦，呢張紙仔係咪自己 cut 出嚟㗎
？May told you to give you one of this. May has this kind of bookness, and then you can just tear one out and then use it for whatever. Or you but this is small enough for one picture, so it's good. Right? This is perfect size for just
Absolutely, yeah. If you'd like, I can put a book like that in the chat really quick. They're a little bit, the Canson ones are a little bit more pricey.
Yeah, big one then is too big, right? I like this type of paper, so it's just good size for a painting, right?
Yeah. So this is the watercolor version of the book that she is using. Goodness, that's a long link. So if you click on that, then it should, yeah, so that's the book that she is using.
This is
oh, that's really pretty.
Yeah.
The sailboat, yeah.
And the sunflowers.
Oh, nice. If you'd like, we can do a week or two of painting flowers. I really like painting like plants and stuff.
Good.
So yeah, any sort of watercolor paper is good though. It doesn't have to be the stuff that I send. It doesn't have to be like the exact stuff that I use. Like my watercolor paints, they're like I buy them by the tube. Hold on, I'll go get one to show you.
Eddie 一本呢啲咧有成60張噶啦，咁其實幾好嘅，即係你咁樣一路
係咪佢嗌我哋買嗰本啊？就係Angela
啊？
係咪佢會嗌我哋買嗰本啊？就係
即係啦，佢嗌我哋買嗰本咯。咁
你本係好細本，係咪 cotton 嚟㗎？我想知你呢個 paper。
呢個 paper 做咩啊？
係咪呢個 paper 係咪 cotton 嚟㗎？嗰個紙質
cotton 佢唔係 cotton， 但係咧佢係 cotton 嗰啲咧就係acrylic 嘅。如果你 watercolour 一定要係嘅呢啲 paper 咧，就係要100幾多啊？90磅或者
300咯，係咪啊？300
磅
，300個 gram 咯。
係啊，即係呢啲咧就會 absorb 到啲水咯。如果你薄得滯嗰啲咧，就
係啊，但係唔係喎，佢都有分係咪 cotton 嘅喎？佢就算係300個 gram 嗰啲都係咪啊？係啊，watercolour 佢都用有冇分cotton 嘅喎？佢話嗰個texture 嗰個 material 都係
medium medium grade， 佢冇寫 cotton 啊。不過呢啲買啲
都吸到啦。
即係我哋而家學咧，買啲平啲都唔緊要咯。
係啊係啊，
係咪？
呢隻就緊要佢嗌我哋買嗰隻嚟㗎。你而家你呢隻
係啊嚇。
哦好啊，
咁我
你呢隻。